Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together we are
TwinFinity.
TwinFinity.
It has been a while. I feel bad when we keep saying that, but it has been a little while since we did a video. But happy Lionsgate, happy 8/8 Lionsgate. We actually did not plan to do this video tonight. It's kind of a spontaneous thing, and it's always magical how we end up doing videos on big event days like Lionsgate.
She didn't even warn me about that, and I had totally not
I didn't even
remembered
think
it.
about it
I
until just before
I
we
even
started.
I even looked at the date on my computer this morning at work going, oh, 8/8, isn't that nice? It just boing, just didn't even twig with me.
Yep. The universe just guides us to do this when we're supposed to, I guess.
Then she asked me if I wanted to do a video tonight, and I kind of have to admit, I, I think a lot of you will understand, but man, the past month or so, I have just not been feeling it. I've just been a little out of whack. It's like I've got the summertime doldrums. But there's no such thing as doldrums in the summertime for me. That's my busiest, funnest, run around, do everything this kind of
Do
season.
everythingist.
Do everythingist, yes. And I've just been meh, just lacking a little bit of energy. I don't know why. Maybe it's something in the collective. Maybe I'm feeling a whole lot of world events to which there's been all sorts of concerns about lately over the past few months. It could be that, but really, if I had to put my finger on it, I wouldn't be able to. I'm just kind of in a situation where I think I'm just looking in the mirror saying, okay, what's wrong with me? Why aren't I just supercharged like I normally am? But I guess we all go through those once in a while where you're just off your game, and I think lately I've just been a little bit off mine. Even my leisure activities I've been okay with doing, but just no passion. I haven't been coming home from work thinking I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and get everything all done. It's been so when Angie asked me tonight if we're going to do a video, I dug deep and I dug a little deeper and I went, yeah, let's do that. Let's see if we can get at least this accomplished.
Well, we thought about doing it a couple nights ago, and it was just like, yeah, no, we're not there.
And now she starts out the video and tells me it's Lionsgate, which is also true. It's part of my funk that I guess I'm in, that I didn't even remember that. But here we are, doing a video. It's amazing how this all works out.
Yep.
I feel a smidge better already.
So before we start, we thought we'd just share where we are. We haven't done an outdoor video in quite some time.
No, not since last summer.
I think so, yeah. So this is part of our backyard, part of somebody else's backyard up there. Although I think that's all ours, actually.
Yeah, pretty much everything you can see
I guess.
is ours.
That's true.
A few percentages that aren't, but
who cares?
I don't have to define that.
That's right.
It's mostly what we consider our living space.
Yeah, so we thought since it is summer and it's a nice night out, we would finally do something outdoors and give you some nature energy.
Yes, and speaking of which, outdoors, there's a couple of ants around, there's a few mosquitoes. So unfortunately, if you see any insects die during this videos, it's just because they just got too close to me.
And you will not see Cookie in this video because we left her indoors because we do get deer tromping through our backyard from time to time, and we decided we didn't want to have to chase after a dog if we get nature running through the yard.
I could only imagine. Okay, everybody, hang on for a couple of minutes. We're going to go catch our dog.
Yeah.
Hi, dears. Yeah. No.
So Cookie's inside feeling very sad that she's not here, so send her some love.
Surprised I don't hear any whining through the door from here. Yeah. Although the door is a fair ways away.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to mention before we get started is on the note, if you're new to our videos, we have been sharing little snippets of stories from our daily lives. Somebody a while ago had requested, like, could we do a video of like our daily lives? And we were like, well, we could, but that's just hard for us to do because we do a lot of weird things in a day and they're hard to video because we just do them in the moment. So we've started taking notes all the time going, oh, we got to share that in a video. They'll think that's really weird or that's really fun. That's one of them.
Yes. It's not near as bashy as it looks.
Yes, it is.
No.
Is that what we're doing now? Am I not getting to tell my story, or is that the demo for the night?
That was just the demo for the night. Weird things that just happen. All of a sudden, her hand just looks nice and convenient, so I give it a kiss, but I sometimes have to steal it and get abrupt with it, or else she steals it back before I'm done.
And this often will happen when we're driving.
Oh, yeah,
when
that
he's
too.
driving and I'm the passenger. He'll just grab my hand and like whack it into his face and kiss it.
Not quite a whack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you stole my story, but I'll leave it for another time.
No,
We'll
you
use
just,
that one.
You just continue on.
Are you sure? We're gonna double story them.
It's up to you.
No, I'll save it.
Okay.
That was a good demo. You demoed instead of a story. Or sometimes you'll take my hand. We'll be holding hands, like hand in hand, like
This.
yeah, and then well, it'll be the other way, and
Right.
then you'll kiss me. Yeah.
Something like that.
So you can see these happen in the moment. It's not like I'm gonna wait, stop, don't kiss my hand. I gotta pull out my phone. It's just too hard to video these moments. So we thought we would at least share them verbally with you, because we're not gonna add videos of these crazy things we do.
See, every so often there's just a hand there, and it's all intertwined with mine, and there's individual little fingers, and they all just need a little bit of attention, so they all get their own little kiss.
That's right. So now that we've shared our little story of the month, we can move on to question and answers. Now that we're already at 6 minutes in.
Yeah, that's about our style.
Yeah.
Meander our way in till we finally find a question.
Yeah.
I just have to confirm, are we starting right at the top?
Right at the top.
Right at the top? Okay.
Not left at the top.
Right at the top. All right.
Oh dear.
I'm in trouble
It
tonight.
might be a bit of a rough night, peeps.
Yeah.
Just warning you. Okay.
Okay. First question. Again, I should read these things before I get started. I just read the first sentence. I'm finished. Who I believe to be my twin flame has a thing about girls being bisexual. I remember him specifically saying when I first met him at one point that halfway through college they find out that they're all bisexual. I don't know if he's put off by it, yet by trying to accept the reality of all these situations, or if it's a weird kink he has. Could a divine counterpart be capable of expressing things of this nature so openly and seemingly so unbothered? Or is it just some kind of bit about being gross and rude? He does come across as having a jerk personality.
Interesting. The jerk personality is kind of an interesting last comment.
You know, when a person has a real jerk personality about something, it's usually because they're being very defensive about something they don't understand. They're trying to understand it, but they don't, so boy, I'm almost trying to portray the emotion as I say this. They're just confused by it all, and it just seems so unnecessary, so that must be the way that it is, and it doesn't bother me. But in the meanwhile, you could see by my expression that it would be bothering if someone's expressing it that way. So when they have a bit of a jerk personality, it's because they usually don't understand their environment, and they're unhappy with it.
I'm probably insecure about it.
And insecure about it.
Now, as far as the question goes, and I'm maybe paraphrasing what they're asking, so maybe I'm asking it wrong, but could a twin be bisexual? Could your twin express themselves as a bisexual? Absolutely. That is so part of this journey, not necessarily bisexuality, but just having different nuances, different challenges, in fact, the very last question, I don't know if we'll get to it, the very last question on our page, I don't know if we'll get to it in this question and answer, is another one about, my twin expresses this way and I express that way. It's very common for twins to have some sort of dynamic, whether it's money, whether it's sexual orientation, whether it's race, religion, culture, all of that stuff. It's very common to have some sort of a hurdle that you have to work through. So not at all surprising that you could have this dynamic in your twin connection.
And through trying to learn, your soul's trying to learn, so it's all it's doing is gathering information, and let's just use past lives as a foundation for my comment here. One past life, it finds something that it's very comfortable with. The next past or the next life it has, or maybe two or three down the road, whatever, it finds something else that it's comfortable with, but they're both very different things. But it's now learned that both aspects, for example, let's say bisexuality, one way or the other, or maybe both are comfortable to the soul. So either in 3D or in 5D, it would be actually reasonably common that a person would be comfortable with both because their soul's been comfortable with it as well along the way of its journeys.
Yeah. And the soul might want to be in this lifetime expressing itself in multiple different ways to experience the most it can in one lifetime. So it might be choosing to express as bisexual to experience different experiences, and also to experience different challenges, right? To overcome maybe some hurdles or some beliefs, or for you as a twin flame couple to work through those hurdles.
There is a comment in here that uh, he says halfway through college they find out that they're all bisexual. That is a closing statement as much as it's a generalization, and that is a way of coming to a conclusion where you decide you don't want to learn anymore. That is almost a way of describing that he is not in touch with himself, because he needs to come to general answers that allow him to just move on, as opposed to maybe allowing other truths to come through. It seems to be a lot to do. Seems to be a lot of closure in his attitude. Everything's decided and done. Decide to finish. This is that way, and that's just the way it is. That can be a little bit harsh, especially for others who are in a mode where they're trying to learn as much as possible, trying to be open as much as possible. That could be really quite the hurdle to get by. Because if you end up being in a conversation where one person is open to many, many things and the other person is trying to close things so that they don't have to think about it anymore, that doesn't leave a whole lot of commonality for conversation and learning together in duality.
So my advice would be to be open to his preferences, but don't go out of your comfort zone. You know, if that's not a comfortable thing for you, or if it's stretching you too far at this point, honor yourself before honoring him, is I guess what I'm saying. If it's like, if you're like, this is so not for me, then you need to pay attention to that, because this journey is first and foremost about yourself, not about your twin. Yes, they're your mirror, and maybe they're mirroring back to you something that you do need to look at, and this is where this might come into. But also feel into it for yourself and decide, you know, where do I sit with this? How do I feel about this? And honor that first and foremost. Anything else?
The part about could a divine counterpart be capable of expressing things of this nature so openly and seemingly so unbothered? Did you have any comment on that? Because that's going to be a comment that is that question. It's probably going to dwell with me for 2 or 3 days, because I believe the answer is yes, but I have no way of explaining why I have that feeling.
Well, I think you already did explain it, because it's a soul level choice sometimes. So yeah, they can be comfortable expressing that way because
it's their soul that's talking
right,
at times.
Right. Yeah. Now, not to push you ahead too much, but we are not able to, where we are, plug our computer in, and we're already at like 45%. So I'm wanting to make sure we cover some questions before we have to end our video.
Yeah, we've already discussed where if our computer energetically has some problems, we'll just have to stop with where we stop. But in the meanwhile, that was a good question.
Yeah.
Quite enjoyed that one. Next question?
Yeah.
Next question says, I've arrived at a point in my twin flame journey where it has become more about me than about my twin, if that makes sense.
Makes
Yes,
sense.
it does.
That's great.
We've been in separation for over a year now. That's not horribly long, but that is a good start to a separation if it needs to be a separation. One of the biggest lessons I learned from our last interaction is that I need to that the need I have to take more risks, be more open, and develop a stronger sense of self-confidence. And that's where I've spent the past year cultivating. As a result, more and more amazing opportunities have come flooding into my life.
Nice.
But what do you do along the journey when you start retreating into an energy of fear? That's a good question. How do you handle the fear of not being good enough, of not being ready to progress along your journey spiritually, or of being overwhelmed by all the sudden change? Sometimes I start to feel a little exhausted by all the constant learning and growth, but I also know that there's no turning back. Do you have tips for managing this? Wow. As long as you don't feel like running away screaming, I think it's a little easier to accept that the pace of your growth and your pace of your journey and all the things that come flooding into your life as far as knowledge and opportunities, nearly have to just kind of accept that that's the way it is supposed to be. It's coming at you at a pace that maybe you can just barely handle, but you can still handle it. It sometimes is tough to have confidence. For example, going back to what I said at the beginning of the video, I've been off my game and I've had to just sit back and be patient with this moment where I haven't really been feeling highly spiritual every day. I have to accept that that's part of my journey for this particular summer, maybe. I don't want to have the whole summer go that way. Then I would start to not feel like myself. But sometimes you just have to be patient with the journey and don't allow yourself to get scared by it, because it is your journey, and it's not like you bought a ticket and you know exactly where you're going to go and how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You probably set your ticket up maybe before you started your journey, maybe either a few hours or a few days or weeks or months before you actually incarnated on this planet. But you don't get to see that ticket. You don't get to read it. So there's a little bit of acceptance, a little bit of patience. But yeah, whenever things seem to be changing way faster than you think you can handle, yeah, there's going to be some moments of panic.
For sure. And I think it's important that's part of the growth, that's part of the lessons and the journey, is to feel into that fear, breathe through it, sit down with it, and literally, if you want, have a conversation with it. Find out, what is the fear? Is it just because it's overwhelming change? Is there a fear of, I'm not doing this right, or I'm going to fail if I don't get every lesson, or I'm not going to be with my twin flame if I don't figure out every lesson? So play with the fear, I guess, is what I want to say, is don't take everything so seriously. It's a journey and you can't fail, and that's the part that we often need to remind ourselves.
Can't fail.
You can't fail. And even if you don't get every lesson that's thrown at you right now, it's okay, because the universe is constantly going to throw lessons at us. Even when we're in union, it's not like everything's perfect and you get everything figured out. There's still lessons, there's still growth. It's just not pounding at you every second of the day like it is sometimes in your journey. And what you're talking about, I so get. God, I remember going through that. And it was honestly only a couple years before Rob and I came into union that I had the most growth to do. It was just one lesson after another. And I didn't know about twin flames at that point. I didn't know, Rob and I weren't even in contact really. So I was just annoyed with the universe, going, what the frig are you doing? Why are you throwing so much at me? Why do I need to learn all of this all at once? So you can also again, literally have a conversation with your own soul and say, okay, can you back off a bit? Like, I appreciate we got these lessons, but can I have a break? And take breaks too. Take some time to be human. Yes, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, but that's part of the point. We are having a human experience. We're allowed to take a break from all the growth and all the lessons and all the soul stuff and just be human once in a while. Go out with a friend, have some drinks if alcohol is part of your, doesn't even have to be alcohol. I don't drink, it doesn't matter. Go out though, have some fun, go dancing, go do something that brings you joy and fuels you again, because you need that fuel to keep going, to keep powering through the hard times. So when it gets exhausting, when you feel the fear, yes, feel it, but also take breaks. It's not like you have to keep trudging along. I often equate this kind of work to climbing a mountain because we do that. We scramble mountains. And I need to take a lot of breaks when I scramble a mountain. So it's the same thing with these sorts of journeys. It's not like you got to just keep trudging along and go and go and go. You can stop. You can take a rest. You can take a sip. You can take a breather and then go back to it and dive back in with more strength, more vitality.
One of the comments in this question was, one of the biggest lessons I learned from our last interaction is that I need to take more risks, be more open, and develop a stronger sense of self-confidence. Many times it feels like you've grown to a spot and then that spot is no longer applicable to where you're at. And sometimes, in order to learn where you need to go to next, and maybe it's not about you, maybe it's about what you need to learn that doesn't seem significant to you, but what is significant to your soul as far as communicating with your twin is concerned. Sometimes you take those risks for reasons that you don't understand, but it's a necessary risk for your twin to actually
Mm.
get some energy from and some direction from. So sometimes when you don't understand why you're taking a risk or what the risks are or why the urge is there, maybe it isn't about you. Maybe it's still something you can benefit from, but maybe it's for your twin, not for you.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So, if I can offer one biggest takeaway is that you can't fail. Don't feel like you have to keep trudging along and learning every lesson without taking breaks, without stopping, without um, taking some time to just be human.
Without having to almost feel like you're starting over because the lesson didn't feel right, that sometimes is what people call failure. It didn't go A, B, C, D, E, and I'm done. It seems like I've had to go A, B, no, go back to A, start over. A, B in a bit, then C, then D. No, back to C again, then to D. Sometimes those little back steps in your learning process may feel like failure, but it's just like when you take a wrong turn with your car, you have to drive around the block again and then take the correct turn. It's just a delay. It's not a failure. It's an adjustment that you feel better about after, or maybe your soul does, at least. So, yes, I completely agree. There's no failing on this journey.
Yeah.
There's course corrections, there's complete changes in what you're doing and what you feel you're learning, but there's no failure. There's just sometimes the journey actually stops and takes a break for you. Don't worry about failing.
Yeah,
Can't happen.
exactly. Just keep trudging along at your own pace.
Okay.
All right. Well, this is a little bit longer one.
A little bit longer and it's a little more convoluted. I might have to back up once in a while and restart a sentence. I actually did take a look at this one. This question scares me a bit. After 2 to 3 years of separation, I have been first told through angel numbers that they are proud of me and I'm on the right path. Then I get signs that I asked for from the angels and the divine to help recognize if my twin flame is also on its way. I saw those signs so many times and I'm thinking, is this true? Then yesterday I saw the angel number 0027 and that means that your love is on its way. I still doubted somewhere, that, okay, I still doubt it somewhere while having happiness. The strange part is I've been sensing my twin being intimate with me. And today I laugh when I'm in a sad situation. This seems so odd. Which reminds me of when myself and my twin were together. Why do I remember all the jokes and laugh as if it was yesterday? I was wondering if you two remember this before you did. I have PTSD, so I laugh as if it was yesterday. Oh, sorry. So I also remember a lot of bad memories, but never have memories made me laugh like this. These memories are only of my twin flame. Does it resonate with your past experience before reunion?
Yes. In the what we call the olden days of our journey back
Yeah,
in
the olden days.
1997, 98. Um, After we broke up, the signs were everywhere. If you aren't familiar with our story, our journey, I'll link some of the stuff above. In fact, let me pay attention to the time so I can remember where to look or where to add that in. But we were constantly hearing the Amanda Marshall song, Trust Me, This Is Love. Both of us were getting that. Um, I had angels that I was channeling, and they were constantly telling me stuff that didn't even make sense at the time, that we had a mission and that we would be together and that we had a purpose and all these things that, now as a twin flame we understand, but back then they made no sense. So for sure, when you're getting these signs, yes, they, even though you doubt them, they definitely mean something. Do they necessarily mean union is coming, as in like next week or next month or next year? Who knows, right? Like, as we've said in our videos, our story videos, spirit has a very different idea of time than we do, because we live in a very dense human energy where time is very slow, where spirit lives in a realm where there really is no time. So to them, when they say, union is like around the corner, to them around the corner means like tomorrow, but in our realm it might mean 10 years down the road. And hopefully not. I'm not trying to, give you some sad information here, but just to have perspective that, don't hang your hat on every single sign thinking, oh my God, tomorrow I'm going to be in union, my twin's going to call. Spirit's energy is very different than ours. Their sense of time is very different than ours. I was told Rob and I were going to be in union. Did I know it was going to be 18 years later? No. But it's here. It happened. So yes, the signs are real. Yes, we experience them. And what was the other question?
Well, I'm actually going to look at the question as a whole. I'm I'm going to come back to the first few words of the question after I reiterate that this person is getting signs that they're on a good path. Uh, they are getting signs that love is on its way, and they are laughing at jokes that they remember from the past, even though they're sounding like that they're laughing at it as if they're hearing it for the first time. They're getting that that constant reinforcement that that a piece of their past is definitely worthwhile remembering.
Remembering. Yeah.
Yes, but the first words of the question are after 2 to 3 years of separation. There's all these other positive bits in the question, the things that are happening, the signs that things are going right, the signs that the union might be coming, the signs that they're doing growth and that they're remembering things. But the question starts with after 2 to 3 years of separation. Separation often has a really negative connotation. People think that separation means that something has stopped. But in reality, having talked to many people, separation is a time for new things to start.
Mm.
Once the getting together and getting to know someone has taken all the growth that's available, then it seems like separation needs to be something that happens to allow one or the other or both to grow so that there's new fuel for a reconnection later. So this question seems to be stating that there is concerns and doubt and wondering why they're remembering jokes that and they're laughing at them as if they're brand new jokes, even though they're jokes from quite a while ago. But what I see in this whole question is just a whole lot of positivity. Things are still moving. Energy is still moving. Communication, having sensed my twin is being intimate with me, communication is still moving. There's a whole lot of growth and movingness. There's no stuckness in this whole question. I think someone's actually having a pretty good portion of their journey. Might not be the portion they want, but their journey seems to be going along. It's progressing. They're still feeling, and I think that they're just looking for a little bit of consolation that really not a lot is wrong. Yeah, the separation might not feel great, but it seems to be accomplishing something.
And yeah, despite having PTSD and remembering a lot of bad memories, you're remembering a lot of the good from your past with your twins. So it sounds like you're in a really good place with the two of you and with yourself
You don't want
on the journey.
You don't want to forget the good. You don't want to forget the bad. It's all been part of your journey. And just when something that's good feels like it's never going to matter again, the reason that it was good all of a sudden becomes relevant. And if you're remembering bad bits too, it's about not having to learn twice. If you see something that's bad and it looks like and you get a memory that something very much like it happened in the past, that might be the time to step away. But that's about not forgetting why you learned something. Bad memories are uncomfortable, but really, are they bad or are they just memories that are uncomfortable?
Right. There's lessons in them.
I think we all have bad memories. As much as you try to put some form of positive spin on them, yes, there are some memories that you wish you could just unmemorize.
Unmemorized. All right, the next question is a really short one, but it's going to have a big answer. This one might be a little tough.
Yeah, we're outside right now, and the sun is trying to go down on the horizon, and by the time we get done this question, it may be dark. Or trying to be. Or maybe we'll just blast right through it.
Maybe we will.
Could you please provide guidance on healing of abandonment, rejection, and unworthiness?
Very short question. Lots to say.
Each one of those could almost be a half a video.
It could be, yeah. Each one could be its own topic.
So we've had 3 questions, and now we've got 3 more halves of a question. So that makes 4.5 questions, of which all of them could have been their own little half a video.
So what I would like to say first is when you're consciously trying to heal something like these examples is always go back to the root. Go back to when you first can remember, because what these are core wounds. And so when a core wound comes up, it means you need to go back to the core of it. When did it start? How did it start? Usually it's in childhood, and usually it's very, very early in childhood. You might even, if you're connected with past lives, if you believe in past lives, if you've done any sort of regression work, or some people like to call it other timelines, you might be able to connect with it from other times as well. But just for the sake of this video, we'll just keep it to this life, just to make it a little easier.
There's lots going on in this life.
Absolutely.
We should have enough reference points.
Yeah, we don't even need to go back to the past, although it's all at the same time anyway, but that's a whole other discussion too.
The past.
It's always nice when you have a helicopter and you're trying to do a video.
Good helicopters and airplanes.
Yeah.
At least there hasn't been that many mosquitoes.
Yes. So, for example, one of the questions is abandonment. So go back into your childhood and look at where did abandonment start from. Usually it has to do with a caregiver, whether it's a parent or somebody else that might have been no primary caregiver.
Bug.
A lot of us grew up with parents that either weren't there for us physically or emotionally. You know, they might have been there physically, but not there for our actual needs when we had some needs. So examine, go looking back into your childhood and do some work there to see. It might even require doing some journaling or doing some right brain sort of work rather than left brain, because often we've forgotten some of these things that were traumatic in our childhoods, and we need some right brain exercises to work through that instead of just examining it with the logical mind. Rejection and unworthiness, same thing. Where did they come from? Where did they stem from? What started the rejection? Were you rejected as a child? Were you rejected maybe by a sibling or a parent, or who knows? Maybe it was somebody at school at a very young age. Um, and unworthiness, same thing. Often the unworthiness will come from the other two. If we've been abandoned and rejected, well, of course we're going to feel unworthy. We would, have core beliefs and core wounds around feeling like, well, it must not be good enough. If people abandoned me and they rejected me, obviously it must be because I deserve to be. So I'm unworthy of their love or unkind or their kindness. So that's the short answer, is always go back to the root. Dig back to where it started, what happened, and then you can start peeling the onion from there and start doing the healing work from there. Any other insights, oh guru?
Abandonment and rejection to me are very closely related. Abandonment is being brought back to being solitary. Rejection is a loss of communication, possibly going back to being solitary. I'm going to combine them together. If you're in a situation where your previous communications are breaking off, maybe it's time that you had some new communications. Maybe it's just a sign that you need to go out and find other communications, different people. Maybe it's just because the other people that you used to be in contact with, especially with abandonment, that your learnings together have run their course. People are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And you're in their lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. We all like to think that we have our friends and our family and our partners, wives, husbands in our life for a lifetime. But that oftentimes doesn't work out that way. Sometimes you know someone for 10 months, sometimes you know them for 10 years, sometimes you know them for your entire life. You, you often can't pick that out right at the beginning. So sometimes people come, people go. Abandonment and rejection are an opportunity to change. And when you bring new people into your life, you undoubtedly learn new things. Unworthiness. That is one that I like to pick on just a little bit. Unworthiness is often a person's own judgment of themselves. In a lot of cases, when someone's feeling unworthy, if they would actually ask the other people around them whether or not they're worthy or unworthy, oftentimes you'll get a strong sense of from the other people that, yeah, you're very worthy, quite worthy. Unworthiness is a harsh self judgment, because very seldomly are you unworthy, especially if you're with people who still try to keep you with them. That means that you are worthy. Whether you feel worthy or not, that's your feelings. But if you're still with them and if they still invite you into their lives, you are worthy. You just maybe don't feel worthy in the direction that you want to feel worthy, but you're still worthy. So be cautious with that. How do you heal unworthiness? Maybe sometimes you have to ask for a little confirmation without asking for it all the time, which would be a sign of high insecurity. But maybe sometimes you just have to say, yeah, ask and maybe understand and maybe analyze a little differently about your true level of worthiness.
I'll also add, in terms of what I was saying, um, bring in the inner child work, because that's where you're going to heal all of this, because it's your inner child that is still holding on to all of these things: abandonment, rejection, and worthiness. So the inner child work, very important. And if you're not familiar with that, you can just Google it. There's lots of information out there about how to do that and what it is. You might even want to seek out some sort of therapy or assistance, coaching. So, yeah.
Do we have time for one more question?
Yes, we do, because it's another short one. You can do it. And it's for you.
It is. It's for me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read it very quickly. Oh no. Oh no. I'm sure it won't last this way, but I have a 3-word answer for this question.
Okay, you have to read the question first.
The question is, Rob, what is happening when for a few days you can't feel your twin anymore? They are busy.
I can totally vouch for that in my own experience. I'll share a story, but you go with your stuff first.
I just gave my answer.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like when you don't get a phone call from someone for 3 or 4 days, and you go, hey, what's going on? And then you finally get back in touch with them and find out that they were busy. It sometimes can just be that simple.
And from my own experience, okay, sorry.
They might be busy just taking a break.
Yep. Or they might be busy doing a tremendous amount of growth.
Yes.
As per the last question, where somebody else is doing a lot of growth. From my own experience, when Rob and I were not connecting a whole lot in 3D, but a ton in 5D, I was talking with him telepathically so much. This was about a year before we came into physical union. He was constantly with me, telling me stuff, and like there was so much telepathy, and it was like intense. If I can find the video that kind of talks about that, I'll link it if there is one specific video that addresses that. But then there was a week where there was like nothing, and I started to think, was I making up all this telepathy stuff? Like, how come it just all disappeared? And then after that week was over, he came back, and telepathically he was saying, I was sorry, I was gone for a while. I was in spirit doing a lot of growth. They actually, were taking me up at night and helping me do a lot of growth to prepare for our union. And I was like, okay, I couldn't make that up. There's no way my logical mind would have made that up. So I was like, that's profound.
In other words, I was busy.
He was busy, literally. His soul was busy, not just his physical self. His soul was very busy, so his soul wasn't available for communication. So yeah, when you're not feeling your twin, it could just be they're off doing something else. They're doing their own growth. They're doing their own healing.
They're on vacation.
Well, maybe. Probably not.
Well, they're on a soul vacation.
A soul vacation, okay.
Okay. So, yeah, when for a few days you can't feel your twin anymore, that might even be a chance that if you're not feeling them, as opposed to panicking, maybe just take that as a time to take a breather as well.
Yes.
Yeah, chance to relax, chill out.
Yeah.
And, yeah, don't panic. No.
Now, we're at almost the battery power we said we were going to quit at, but I would like to go to the next question, because it actually just ties in incredibly well with the answer I just gave, and it would be a good question to answer. They're wanting to know about, how do you know when it's your intuition and when it's real, or when it's your mind making it up?
Shall I read the question?
Sure.
Okay, and if we disappear, it's because we ran out of power.
That's right. But we'll try and answer this fast.
We'll run out of power before we run out of daylight.
Yes, we will.
When you talk about going within to connect with your twin, I'm never quite sure what that's supposed to look like. Actually, it's a feeling, not a look. I feel like when I can't tell the difference between me wanting to reach out to my twin just because I miss connecting with him and genuinely being told by my intuition to do so. Also, I can't tell if my hesitation to reach out is just fear of rejection or intuition telling me it's a bad idea. Do you have any tips on how to tell the difference?
You just gave the answer that I would give in your first comment when you said it's not a look, it's a feeling. It's about how you feel. Your intuition is going to guide you with gentle quietness, a gentle nudge, loving, kind words, whereas your own mind, your own, I'm not sure what the right word is, but your own, humanness, I'll call it, is usually going to be a little more harsh. It's going to be judgmental towards you. It's going to kind of have words that are not kind, maybe insecure. So, exactly like Rob said at the beginning, go with what you feel. When you feel a peace, when you feel a comfortableness, when you feel like, this feels right, that's your intuition. When it feels there's a lot of insecurity or there's a lot of doubt or there's a lot of mind chatter, then that's not when you're in your intuition. That's a very simple answer.
I just agree with that. I don't even know if I can add a whole lot to it. This, a lot of it comes down to that trusting yourself. If you get a feeling and if it doesn't really matter whether you go with it or not, go with it actually.
Yep.
A feeling is more like a nudge. It's not like a fork in the road. A feeling is a little push of direction. So if you get a feeling, yeah, go with it.
Yeah. And that's why it's so hard for most of us to distinguish, because we have, again, like the last or second last question where they were talking about the abandonment, the rejection, the unworthiness. Most of us have those kinds of core wounds, so we're not used to listening to our inner guidance. We're not used to connecting here. We're used to connecting here. And here doesn't feel, it thinks. So you might even want to literally put your hands here or wherever you kind of feel is your intuition side. It might be your gut. Um, go feel the difference. Kind of put your hands in different spots and ask those questions of your own body, and you might start to then notice what you feel versus what you think. That might be a helpful physical, hands-on way to practice. But know that it's also practice. You're not going to get it right every time. It's learning. I still have times where I'm like, is that my intuition or is that my ego? It's all practice. And again, like we've said before, you can't fail. It's just all learning. It's all good. So what? You make a mistake one time, good, then you'll learn it the next time. No worries.
Yeah, exactly it. It's this question is more about learning to trust your intuition than to know whether or not it's intuition or not.
Right. And that's what I had to do when Rob was talking with me telepathically, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. I had to trust my intuition of my mind is like, oh, you're just making this all up. My ego was like, this isn't even real. But clearly it was real because I couldn't control when the telepathy was there and when it wasn't. It wasn't like my logical mind could choose, okay, we're going to have this conversation. It happened when it happened, not when I wanted it to happen. So also, use your logic in a healthy way and go, well, did I make this up or is this intuition? Start practicing and using your mind in a different way and see if that helps. But now we're at 6%, so I think we're going to say goodbye before our computer completely dies.
Yeah.
So thanks for hanging in there with us. Hopefully we'll be back in another month with another video.
And by the way, when it comes to trusting your intuition, when Angie suggested that we do this video possibly tonight, I have to admit I really wasn't there. But in the grand scheme of things, I thought that tonight, for reasons that I could not figure out, would probably be the better night to go ahead and take a run at this video.
And you didn't even know it was Lionsgate. You
And
didn't know it was any important day.
And this video for me has felt so good. I didn't know it was going to feel this good. I was thinking it was going to be an exercise in survival, but no, it's just kind of amazing. I had to trust myself that tonight really was the right night to do it, and I did,
Well done.
and it just was. So sometimes, yeah, even when you can't really trust that you're doing what you think you should be doing, if the nudge is there, which is what I had earlier tonight, go with it.
Yes. Well done.
Have a good
Happy
night.
Lionsgate.
Bye.
Bye.